Hello, hello. Happy Friday.
Hey guys, happy Friday. What's up?
Hey,
Howdy howdy. So we have a really good question on our one of our YouTube comments. They're asking us if we ever get pushback about our packaging. And I kind of don't remember the last time we really talked about our packaging. So I wanted to give us an opportunity to kind of jump into that. I mean, we do put a lot of thought and effort and engineering actually into that. So wanted to give you guys the floor and open the opportunities of talking about that.
I think I know where that came from. We were referencing the packaging on the NV goggles. I briefly mentioned something about I wanted the front to look more like the Jeep, but we ended up with just the hood, the graphic
mhm.
part. So, yeah, that's a really good example of sometimes we just don't always get what we want, and there's Jared. Normally, what we'll do is whenever there's a new project and we've worked our way around to where it's packaging time. You want to talk about how we get there, Jared? As far as the factory and the die. You want to get into
Yeah,
all that?
the,
Yeah.
the the process. We're usually pretty far into what we would call like a pre-production. Or even, yeah, we don't quite get to production, but at the pre-production phase, we've sampled stuff with our supplier, and they will kind of figure out how they're going to package this thing and what size that box actually looks like. And we get something called a die line, and it is the actual outline of the box if you unfolded it and laid it flat, because that's how we work with the artwork. We work on a flat file, and that die line informs us. Okay, here's where we need to put our logos, put a background, put the legal, and then we use that as our concept jump off point. Sometimes we concept even before that. We have a rough idea of what the box is going to look like, and we once we get the die line, we come back later and kind of move things around and make it a little more lined up with what we need to do for the box. But yeah, we work within that die line, and we have packaging artists that work in Illustrator and Photoshop. And once we kind of get what we want and the elements where we need them, working with the studio supplied style guide, so they will give us all the logo, all the legal lines, everything that they require beyond the packaging. Then we share that with them after we've kind of looked it over internally with the artist and made sure, like, yeah, this is doing what we want it to do. It's looking as we want it to look. And in the case of like the night vision goggles, our early concept was to make it look like what Ryan said, the front hood of the Ford Explorer. And I think that didn't quite resonate with our packaging approval process or our packaging approval team. They weren't quite getting it. It didn't really make sense to them, and that's fine. They just came.
They may never have even seen the movie.
That is a possibility too.
They just may never have seen.
What is this supposed to be? It's from the movie. It's anyway, yeah. But
Yeah.
yeah, so we were able to just remove one element that was kind of throwing them for a loop, and I think we still kind of got the effect that we wanted to, just not as literal. But that's kind of the rough process of it. Is working in a graphics program with an artist on the flat file. We take a few passes at it. We move things around. Logos, colors get adjusted. Um, some elements get added or removed, and we kind of look at it and decide, yeah, that looks like what we wanted to, or it's looking too busy. Let's shift this over here. Um, it's one of the final steps in production and what we do, because the box printing happens almost towards the end, and it's usually a pretty quick process. They don't need months and months and months to do packaging. It usually comes together in a couple weeks, and I like that we can have time to kind of concept on the front end. The worst thing is when you forget about it till the very end. You're like, oh no, we need to do a box. We need to do packaging. Luckily, we've been pretty proactive on that. We have an idea up front of what it should be, and we'll take a few passes on concept early on. And what we start out with versus what we get, I think we're usually pretty on point, unless what we were thinking just isn't working for whatever reason, and we have to revise it a lot. But yeah, it's a fun process. I think packaging is an exciting part of it, because It's what the collector first sees when they receive the item. They see the box. That's what informs you of everything. Oh, this is cool. I love what they did here. And there's some there's a couple of projects we're working on right now where we're doing some fun stuff that I think we wouldn't have ordinarily thought of. So there's some elements to it that are kind of fun, maybe even Easter egg like. But those are things we can talk about as we get closer to those projects announcing them. But yeah, lots of fun opportunity in packaging to do some cool stuff.
Yeah. I like the way you threaded that last bit. I wondered how far you were going to go with it, but yeah, there's some
I only
Easter
go
eggs.
left, and then I reel it back in.
I like that. I like that a lot. Yeah, and you referenced the style guide a second ago. We probably should stop and say what that is. So we get a style guide, and essentially that could be full of, like with Jurassic Park, that will be full of logos and colors and different things that, just without even asking, this suggests this is what you guys can use while you're designing and or advertising this. And sometimes you may want to go outside of a style guide. You can get a style guide for Batman or any number of things. And in the case of when we were doing 66 Batman, there was almost nothing in the style guide. It was, kind of the cityscape that you see, at the, in the credits on the film, a couple logos and just some different colors. Not really a bunch there. We've got properties before where there was no style guide. Phantasm 2 was really nothing but a logo. So when we came and say the packaging for the ornaments, for example, that was a fun bit of packaging. Tyler and I had worked on that one a good bit, and both of us kind of wanted that retro 70s feel to it. We wanted those muted colors like in old school Christmas wrapping paper. And that's an example of we got to have a little fun with it. When we were drawing it up, Tyler goes, we should stick a kind of a snowman on the side of the packaging, reminiscent of like Rankin Bass. And then I'm like, yeah, stick a phantasm sphere right in his forehead with some blood shooting out. And we're like, there's no way they're going to let us do that. And it's one of my favorite things. I'm going to have to go back and take a picture of it just so Sean can pop it up, because I know he's got the regular packaging, but on the ornaments, but it doesn't show the snowman. But that's a good example of, we were so happy. I was as happy with that in that packaging as I was when we first found out we were going to be able to do those in steel and weld those blades in place. Just having that snowman with a sphere hanging out of his face. It was so awesome. Yes, it was great. So sometimes it works out like that. And then other times, again, like with 66 Batman, there was nowhere for us to go. The style guide was so limited. And then we tried to go outside of the style guide with some ideas, and they just weren't feeling it. So that's why you end up with a logo and black packaging. That was a case of, I never tire of talking about how unhappy I was at WB with things like that. There was just a creative team at the time, and it's changed 3 times over since then, that just didn't want to try. And you had people, the way you submit concept and everything, like we had Supernatural. When we were making all the Supernatural stuff, we only got through a couple things because we've talked about this in another video. Amy, do you remember when we put demon killing knife on the packaging, and they're like, how do you know it's a demon killing knife? And we're like, what?
No.
Yeah, we're like, have you watched your
Why
show?
are you calling it that? Why would you call it?
And then we're like, it's Ruby's demon killing knife. And they go, where does it say that? And we're like, have you seen the show? And it was a younger person who was repping that part of the approval process. That's the other thing. You have your category manager who you work with at a given studio. And then along the line, you've got a person who might approve your concept. And there's another team that might get into your packaging. It could be multi-layered. So as I always say, the most difficult thing that we do is manage personalities. It's not just one person. It's a lot of different personalities sometimes. But Supernatural was maddening. That we would offer up ideas, and they would go, is that in the show? And we're like, yes, that's why we're wanting to do it. This is what they just had no concept of even what we did sometimes. So our Supernatural packaging was, kind of, hey, a logo. most we could do was make it a cool silver foil, to jazz it up, because we couldn't use any of the likenesses of the actors and that sort of thing. And they really wouldn't let us step too far out of the style guide, as limited as it was. And then you get into other times with studios where, man, they will let you do some stuff as long as it flatters their, their product, it complements them and elevates their brand. Disney's a good example. They're not afraid to let us use a little bit of color. They're not allowed to. They're not afraid to let us have a personality, in our packaging. And a good example of that would be on the 20K newspaper. We'll talk more about that, and that's a good segue into that. We'll talk about that in a second.
Yeah.
But yeah, in general, like Jared said, it's a fun process, and sometimes we'll go around the horn. Like if we've got a new item, boom, we got to work on packaging. Amy might have an idea off the top. Jared might have an idea off the top. I might have something. And usually it's not something we beat up. Somebody usually nails it, and that's it, done. Yeah, it's usually that simple. It's I think seldom does somebody dig in, hey, that's a hill I got to die on. Yeah, this is the way it's going to be. Ultimately it falls on me to check the box, but usually it's just good ideas all the way around. We get to be a little creative, and that's when we're happiest. So yeah, normally it just all depends on the studio is the answer to the question. Do we get pushback? Yes. Does it always happen? No. And the best times are when, even if they don't necessarily love the idea, they recommend something better. Like, hey, have you thought about doing this? And that's the case with, our category manager over at Toho. Anytime we've ever had pushback on anything we've wanted to do, it's not like, no, you can't do it. It's, well, maybe you should take a look at doing it like, oh, wow, I didn't think of that. They're just, they become part of the team. And that's when it's best. So
that's a good example. Toho is the opposite of the WB example you were giving.
Oh, yes.
With Supernatural, they didn't know the property all that well. Toho guys, they know what's going on, and it's awesome because they help inform the creative decisions with that knowledge. So if maybe you should use this because that was featured more prominently in this scene, or you're like, oh, okay, cool, awesome, right on. Yeah, super helpful on that front. They know everything, and it's such a blessing to be able to have that knowledge on our side.
Yeah, it's like if I could think of multiple times we've been talking to Aaron, and he'll mention in his ever so diplomatic style too, so easy with it. Guys, I like what you're doing here, but maybe we should take a look at this. And then, well, Eureka, thank you. That looks great. Yeah, I mean, they're just, that is an example of the perfect, love everything about our Toho team. So and it's such a rich property, it's decades and decades. And, as we've got our favorite eras, but can't possibly be up to speed on friggin' everything yet, although we're trying, and they're just good mentors along the way. So, I'm glad you brought that up, because it is a night and day difference. And then we've had other relationships where, sometimes the studio or the management company that's repping the property, they'll defer, like, hey, like what you did there, go. And it's simple as that. So most of the time, I'd say 70-80% of the time, it just works. And then, when you either have to stand corrected or you've got nothing to work with, again, like I said, about just a blank style guide, or, somebody will say, hey, like what you're doing, but tighten it up here, maybe try that, and, use these colors, or, this is the wrong era, that do this. And that is one of the more fun aspects of what we do, getting ready, getting to do the packaging. And then, of course, there's your legal lines, and got to make sure that all that stuff's high and tight, and not for under such and such ages, and that sort of thing. But yeah, that's good stuff. You know, you're nearing the end when you get to do that bit of packaging.
Yep.
All right. So
Just
go
to
ahead, Amy.
piggyback real quick while
Mhm.
we're talking about the packaging part of it,
Yep.
how do you guys determine what's supporting the product inside that packaging? Like what
Uh,
determines what foam you use, if it's that EVA or the EPE foam or a blister pack? What determines that?
Yeah. Well, money can up front. You can go the cheap route, or you can do it right, like we do it. You know, that starts it, because if you're cheaping out, that's going to affect everything. You can use a flimsy outer packaging on your cardboard that's protecting your art box. So like when everybody gets a package from us, there's the package that holds the actual prop replica, you know, the item, and then there's the outer packaging that protects it. What we like to do is, once we've landed it and we've liberated something from its master carton, we want to be able to just stick a label on it and know that it's going to make its journey to whomever just got it. So anybody who's ordered from us, you know, we use a lot of bumpers, a lot of foam, a lot of laser cut foam. Presentation is important. You know, you work on this stuff in some cases a year or more. You don't want to get lazy in the packaging in the end. So a lot of times, Jared and I were just doing it on a. We were working on the Lunar Golf Club just day before yesterday, and I was laying out stuff on my desk, and I was like, we should probably package it like this. Jared's like, you want to use laser cut EVA, blah, 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 you know, and we're just working our way through it. And I'm like, yep, magnetic clasp on the front. You know, kind of one of our go-to things we like to do, higher perception of value when you've got those cool magnetic clips on the front. It just looks nicer. It makes you feel better when you've ordered something that it's packaged properly. So yeah, down to the thickness, the weight of the cardboard, the sheen on the packaging. Yeah, those could all be like earlier when I was saying, just like the supernatural stuff, just with the foil hit on the logo. Yeah, that's money. But we never let that dictate what we want to do packaging wise. I mean, we pick I can't think of one time we've ever had the idea or the packaging in mind and go, oh, that's going to cost. We can't do that. Can you, Jared? Can you think of any time where we backed off because I mean, sure, you know, we're not going to gold leaf it, but you know, for the most part, it's what looks good, what we think complements the item inside. In the same token, we don't want to go ridiculously over the top, and we've talked about that before too. You don't want to get into a situation where you're just making a case to hold an item that's otherwise going to go on somebody's. You know, sure, sometimes things. You know, our friend who. The Hunter Seeker. You know, the Hunter Seeker is on a stand, but if somebody wants to put a little acrylic case over the top, they can. But if we did it, man, we would have had to add $75 to the packaging, and the product, and everything would have been larger to accommodate that. And sometimes, you know, we don't want to do that just because, you know, you're buying a prop replica, not a case. So we're trying to get the prop in somebody's hand.
Yeah, I don't want to force a cost on a collector for something that they maybe don't even really care about or want or need. But for those who do want it, you know, certainly the option is there if they want to chase that on the back end and put it in a case or, you know, some kind of display like that. But I know I personally wouldn't want to pay for something that I'm kind of ambivalent about. I wouldn't care about if it had a case. I certainly wouldn't want to pay for it. That'd be my like.
Yeah, take something like like the Lost Boys bottle. The packaging is huge because it's got to protect the glass bottle.
Yeah.
So the packaging is already over the top huge. It's like a microwave box. If we had stuck a case in with that thing, oh my God. And it would have boosted the price another friggin' $100. And for a few, it would have had some higher curb appeal, but most people are going to put that on a shelf. They're going to put it in a DTOF. You're going to put it in a case, you know, or something. So that's always a call for us, like the Ruby's knife or the First Blade. Of course, they're going to get stands. We're not just going to give you a knife replica that sets on the shelf. Of course, it's got to have something to hold it up, just like the Hunter Seeker, you know, that sort of thing. But yeah, to answer your question, Amy, yeah, we talk about that a lot, and then the factory does their own drop test, and they've got ideas too. You know, so, in fact, when we work with some of the same manufacturers who've done good work for us in the past, they can sometimes come to us with an idea. You know, we might suggest something, and well, how about this or how about that? But the general rule is we've got an in-house style guide that we reference. We know we want a triple core good on that outer shipping box. We know we prefer a matte, you know, as far as on art boxes rather than a really glossy sheen. And we've experimented with the reason we say that's because we've experimented with gloss and we just like mattes better. Anything else, Jared? You got anything? I feel like I talked that one to death somehow.
Well, I feel like the default for a lot of the industry, collectibles in general, has always been polyfoam, you know, styrofoam essentially. And I'm glad that we've kind of looked elsewhere and gone with the black EPE foam.
Yeah,
that's typically what you see. And because I did a deep dive on research with this, it's typically what you see in electronics because of the way it is. It insulates against static. I think that's where EPE foam came from. But it's wonderful because it can be laser cut and layered in a certain way that works really well for the kind of items that we make. It may not be something for statuary, like if you had a giant, you know, quarter scale statue, it may not work well for that. But for what we do, EPE foam works really well. It looks good. It doesn't crumble and flake like styrofoam polyfoam does. It just leads to a nicer presentation and does the job, I think, better than polyfoam.
Yeah. I mean, we've used it on everything from, the Hunter Seekers to, what else? The Lost Boys bottle. Yeah.
Lost Boys bottle. It's EPE foam. On the flip side, though, we did use polyfoam on Mr. DNA because he has a kind of a twisting form and his arms are doing a twist thing. EPE foam is tricky to get it like it's a figural statue. It doesn't work well with those kind of rotating elements of arms and stuff like that.
Sometimes there's a concession, but
polyfoam does work better for that because it can be formed around that shape. When they tool the polyfoam, they tool it around the statue to support it as it's in its pose. So in that case, it does work better.
And just an aside, a drop test is actually where the factory packs up a unit and throws it across the room several times. They test from like 4 and 6 and 8 feet.
Those videos are hilarious to watch, by the way.
And
I knew somebody was going to ask, so I figured
we get videos of that happening as they're demonstrating to us that this is going to survive.
Often the industry standard is like I forgot the certain height requirement, 36 inches or maybe, but they actually have it on a wall. They have it's measured, and they'll stand next to the wall and hold it there and then drop it and do it from each side to see how each side reacts at that height. And it's a funny thing to watch.
Well, we got a video once of somebody snipping one of our props.
Oh yeah.
They said
in the inspection report, it was a sniff test to see if there's like any solvent-based smell or something.
Smell funny? Smell this. No way. I fell for that last time. Not doing it. Yeah, but it was. Do you remember that? It was just the JPEG of somebody's nose up there. I'm like, what is happening here? There's more. There's a video.
The scientific sniff test.
I'm like, when did we start requesting that level of inspection?
Hey, but our products don't smell bad, so they covered that. That's perfect.
They were looking out. Yeah, I enjoyed that day. All right, you got anything else, Amy? Let's go ahead and skip over to 20K unless you got something.
I was gonna say we haven't covered the 20K newspaper, so let's definitely talk about that.
Yeah, it's like we did it and then we just
oops. Oops.
Oopsies, moved. It went out in our newsletter, but we showed it online a couple times. So yeah, the 20K newspaper, that was interesting. So I'll take that back to the beginning. While we're deep in production on so many other things with Disney that we'll talk about later, we were looking for, what's just is there anything quick? Is there anything that we can push out? So we're looking at the movie and we're checking things out. And I forget who noticed the newspaper. And then I'm like, well, let's just track one down. We need to just track down surely somebody's got a screen used paper, in their collection. So, we ask our people at Disney to look for it. And we were already working on some other stuff and scanning some other pieces. And then I was thinking that just in the back of my head, I could have swore Adam had one, Adam Savage. And so I emailed Adam real quick and I'm like, dude, you got a 20K paper, right? Don't you have an original? And he's like, I got to make an introduction. So he introduces us to a friend who's done a lot of deep dive and research over at the Earl Hayes Press, and Michael, and they have. I don't want to speak for him. He's done so much. So the Earl Hayes Press has been around since what? The golden age of Hollywood. And if it's a paper prop, chances are they made it. I mean, they've done everything from
book, anything printed.
Yes, like they did the Sports Almanac from Back to the Future. Yep. They did, Kate Bomb Buzzes Metropolis, the Superman newspapers. The wanted poster and posters in Young Guns. I mean, you name it, they've done it. And our friend has been cataloging those items. It's a huge facility. It's gone through and really dug up a lot of stuff that's just been frozen in time over the years. And he was responsible for rediscovering the lead chases that they call them. That were used to make the newspaper, the Monsters Exist newspaper from 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Sean's undoubtedly showing that now. So the next question was, working with the studio, hey, can we use them? Are they approved? Is this a thing? And then you go through your, let's get everything validated and make sure we're on the right page here. And then ultimately, we were able to work it out to where the Earl Hayes Press printed these for us. So you have a case where we were able to use the original chase that provided the prop you see in the film, and then the same company responsible for printing them all those decades ago were able to do them for us. So just a wonderful example of just the planets lining up, all from an email with Adam Savage. Thanks, Adam.
You have one framed behind you there, I think.
I do, and that's a good example. I don't know if you can see it so much here, but that's just the front paper. But as you'll see in the photos Sean is putting up, it's a big piece. I mean, it opens all the way up. It's got print on both sides. I just think it looks good framed up like that. I mean, you could show the whole thing, as you see the guy, looking at it in the movie. But yeah, sure, it looks good like that. And then we were talking about artwork and being able to, company not being afraid of a little bit of color. This is just an example of one of the header cards that, of course we've got to go through all the proper approvals and everything, but yeah, that was a fun one to put together.
Yep. That was actually some original art we had created using film stills and kind of photoshopping them together and doing a paint over to kind of unify it all together. But that's a tricky property because it is so old. We were talking about style guides earlier. There is no style guide for 20,000 Leagues other than Disney having the logo that we used. There are no like here's the font for this, here's the colors, use this. There really wasn't anything like that. But they were great working with us as we kind of built up that design, and we just told them like, this is from the film. We're not creating anything that's not as seen in the film. So we're always referencing from that source, and they love it. They're like, yeah, this is cool. This looks great.
That was really wonderful to have those conversations with our team at Disney to say, hey guys, are we going to be able to create some of this artwork? Are you guys okay with that? And it just was a lot smoother process than I ever would have imagined. It just, I don't know. I was just so pleased with the way that whole thing came together. And it's so great because we can track the history all the way back.
It's nice. And Michael Corey's got a channel, Props to History, I believe is what it's called. And you can find him. I think that might be his socials as well. Right? Am I right on that, Amy?
Yeah, and I'll make sure I tag him in that so everybody can find his page.
Yeah, Michael was a big help in getting this together. And it's not like this is just the only thing that he's done. You guys have undoubtedly seen him on Tested, so we'll plug Adam real fast too. Whenever you see Adam, over where they're digging up the Blade Runner ID, things like that. Of course, the Earl Hayes Press did that as well. And Adam's had a couple trips over there where he's documented a lot of stuff with Michael, but Michael's responsible for digging it up, cataloging it, and actually getting these things in some order over there. So he's become a good historian, a good custodian of those pieces with them. So yeah, we really appreciate him working with us. And again, a good example of the studio, our guys over there at Disney helping us along the way, bringing this thing together as quickly as they did. So yeah, we're happy with that one. But that's an example of a one-time run. Those papers aren't an open edition. Once they're done, they're done. And we're moving through them now. But we kind of just, it was a good opportunity. We thought we might be recreating that piece. And then when the original chases were found, just old school big chunks of lead that, like when you see an old printing press, stick these things, chakunk, 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 out they roll. That's the official sound of the printing press. But it's a cool piece. So anything else we could say about that one, Amy, that you could think of?
I just want to point out that Earl Hayes turned 110 this year. They opened in 1915.
Wow.
So I just think that's cool, man.
They have done it all. Like I was thinking about some other stuff from Lost Boys, the missing posters, the Laddie on the milk carton, missing, they did Laddie. Literally everything gets done through them. When you see what I was trying to think of some cool stuff that they were uncovering when Adam was over there last time. It was like old munitions boxes that they should look like Winchester, or Federal, ammunition boxes, and they just change a little bit on there, and just everything. I'd love to get over there. I mean, if we ever make it out, we're going on a field trip.
Yes, please.
Michael just doesn't know it yet that he's toting us all over there. But
well, and
that's going down.
Then I do got to rep my boy Keith over there because he was instrumental in getting us across the line. And there's another lady that I'm so sorry, sweet, wonderful lady Ruth. That's not right. They were amazing getting like
Amy, nobody's watching
for me. I know.
Nobody's watching this.
It's okay. But I know, and they'll know. Thanks for your help.
Good deal. But yeah, we will work with them given any opportunity. So
absolutely,
they just a great outfit, and it was just a case of, again, I just presumed one would be in Adam's collection, that he had picked it up somewhere because he has everything, and he's like, no, or he had an old replica that somebody had run. I don't know, but anyway, this all worked out. So yeah. 20K papers, limited run to we only did 1,000 of them, right?
Mm-hmm. Only 1,000, and we're well into them for sure.
Okay. Anything else you want to talk about there, Jared? Or
I was just gonna say those sell really well at conventions, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think people see it in their hands, and it's something they can take and walk away from the show, put in their bag. It's a cool thing to get at a show. Like, man, look at this cool replica of the newspaper I got. I think it's awesome.
Newspapers always do better at shows. When you see them online, you can't appreciate their size. I'd go over there and take that down if I didn't have it wire tied in. I got tired of bumping into it, and it was always hanging crooked. So that thing's it's practically welded to that rack now. But yeah, when people can see them and appreciate how large they are, I mean, they're big. I mean, again, you can see this hang tag here. They're that wide. I mean, the papers in their bags. What's
when
that?
we started thinking about the packaging for this, how we're going to do it.
Yeah.
We didn't realize how big the paper was.
Right.
We had to keep making the hang tag bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah, look how big it
got pretty big.
Yeah. I mean, it was funny because we were going off the Day of the Dead paper.
Mm-hmm.
And we were like, well, its hang tag's going to be this. And it's a smaller paper, no doubt about it. And do we still have a special going on those Day of the Dead papers?
It's Day of the Dead's anniversary on Saturday. So we're giving free shipping through this entire weekend.
Yeah, we'll extend that. So and yeah, the papers of the Disney papers have been doing good too. But to Jared's point, yeah, I think when people see them at the show and you could appreciate their size, they resonate. They hit a little harder when they're in your face. And you could the stiff hang tag, and it's all properly done. Again, another testimonial to packaging. Nothing flimsy about it. It's just just a well done piece. Because I don't know, we talk about it in house. How many people actually even open them up? You know when somebody's buying two, what they're doing. One's staying in the packaging, one's getting opened up, but. I was shocked over the years that nobody's done a licensed version in all these years. So we'll be the first to have done more than a few 20K pieces, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. So more on some other things soon. But yeah, that's it. So yeah, we got to talk a little bit about packaging and what we get away with and what we have to do to get there, and then a 20K paper. I got nothing else.
Yep.
Yeah.
All good.
We're done. Here. We're going to finish in 37 minutes. One thing I can't do in 37 minutes? I can't talk this much without mentioning William Catt. That's what I can't do. Again,
we got to keep an eye on his convention schedule.
We do.
And make sure we line up one where he's at. That would be awesome.
Then we find out about the restraining order.
He's like, oh no, you guys, 20 yards.
Yeah. Again, it's like it's Saving Silverman, but we love you. We want to party with you.
We just want a quick picture. It's fine.
Yeah. But yeah, Big Wednesday in house, guys. Big Wednesday in house.
House is fantastic.
Check them out. Yeah. Staples, and any library, any home theater just can't be complete without those two films somewhere. All right, that's all I got. You guys have a good weekend. Yeah, I'm done. So cool. See you guys.
Well, y'all have a great weekend.